Hello everybody, welcome to my presentation on the marvelous medieval musical machine, the Sackbut. During this presentation, I will be explaining how the heck this familiar looking assortment of metal tubing came to exist, what it was used for, and why it looks so similar to its modern counterpart, the trombone. Also, in the corner of this video, you will notice another video of me playing some examples of the music that the Sackbut was used for, as well as the sheet music that I read to record these songs. I'll explain more about all this a little bit later in the video. Before we get started, I'm going to give you a quick side-by-side between a sackbut and a modern trombone. The intellectuals in the room will notice they look like the same instrument. That is because they basically are the same instrument. The only major physical difference is that over time, the bell has gotten larger. And of course, there's only one thing in the world that could possibly inspire such an incredible instrument. Cows! More specifically, their horns. Back in the day, and I'm talking the Stone Age, animal horns were used to communicate over long distances by yelling or buzzing into them, with the horn resonating the sound into a loud call. Luckily for music lovers back then, these primitive horns weren't often used for music and were more so used for signaling and communication. Little did these ancient hornblowers know, the hollowed-out animal part in their hands would eventually become one of the earliest forms of a wind instrument. Now I'm going to go over how we came from this, an animal body part, to the sackbut. Fast forward a couple thousand years after the Stone Age, humans began making things out of this cool material called metal. Once humans got good enough at making things out of metal, musicians decided, let's make these horns out of metal, and bam! The earliest form of the trumpet was born. Now I know I'm out here talking about cows and animal horns and trumpets in a trombone presentation, however it's all important to where we're going. The earliest trumpets were just long tubes with a bell and a mouthpiece, and then someone decided, this is hard to carry, let's twist it around a bunch, and then invented the horns and trumpets that look a little bit more like bugles. Now these bugles were pretty awesome, however they had a limited amount of notes that they could play as they could only play the harmonic series. Now what the heck is the harmonic series? I don't have time to explain that all to you, so in brass player terms, it's basically all of the notes that we can play without pressing any valves. Now, at this point, valves didn't exist for another couple hundred years, so there was no way to really play anything chromatically. In order to play chromatically, you would need another bugle that was a different length of tubing, and that was just expensive. So, throughout that time, people kept trying to invent new ways to change the length of tubing of this weird bugle. Sometime during this time, some genius said, what if, while we are playing, to make the tube longer, we literally grab the tube and make it longer? And that, my friends, is how the slide was invented, unchanged to this day, kinda, and perfect in every single way possible. Now you guys can probably already see where this is going, so this weird slide trumpet eventually morphed its way into becoming the sackbut. Wait, I still haven't explained what the heck a sackbut is. Part 2. The sackbut. The sackbut was a brass instrument that was mainly used in the medieval times and was a lower-pitched relative of the trumpets that were around back then. Sackbuts were mainly popular in Burgundy, Germany, France, and England, and they were able to play a wide variety of music. The name sackbut sounds kind of funny, so it only makes sense that the name originated from, you guessed it, France. This name, however, was not used in Germany, as the instrument was, and still is, called the posaune. While the valveless trumpets and bugles at the time were often used in courts and ceremonies and parties, the sackbut was reserved mainly for, believe it or not, church music. This was due to its range being very similar to that of the human voice. Because of its warm tone and its ability to play intricate harmonies, the sackbut was widely viewed as a divine instrument. In Germany in the medieval times, and later by composers in the Romantic era, the trombone was viewed as the voice of God. Needless to say, it was very important to the people that heard it and to the people that played it. The composers saw it as a very, very important instrument, but as all things happen, it eventually died out. I'll go into that a little bit later though. Now a little bit about the wonderful music you've been hearing in the background of this video. It wasn't recorded on Sackbuts, but it's recorded on the next best thing, its later predecessor, the trombone. The music you're hearing is La Danserie, and it is a collection of 60 dances written by composer Tilman Susato for 4 instruments. The edition that you see on the screen is a transcription of this music for Sackbut Quartet, engraved into a more modern system of music notation, and was printed back in 1936. I'm going to let you guys enjoy that for a little bit before we get to the next part. It's that time of the video. The Dark Ages. What happened to the sackbut? The Baroque era happened. The sackbut fell out of popularity in everywhere except Germany and did not change much until the 1800s, when composer Ludwig van Beethoven reintroduced a newer version of the sackbut into his 5th symphony, known as the trombone. And with this symphony, it sparked the heyday of the trombone in orchestral music. Although the days of sackbut in churches were long gone, the Romantic period had just started, and oh boy, trombone was about to get way cooler. This new form of the sackbut absolutely exploded in popularity amongst Romantic period music, and it eventually gained a wider bell with a slightly warmer tone. And other than those slight changes in the instrument, it's the exact same as the one we know today. Now I know you guys are all thinking, why has the trombone barely changed through all of this time? The answer to that, my friends, is simply because it's awesome and it is perfect the way it is. This has been my presentation on the sackbut. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching.